Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're coming in. This is Kripamola and reading of CCN discussion on a Monday night. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Much apologies for not appearing last week. Too much going on. But I hope you're well. Hope you've been well. And I hope you're celebrating Diwali in some way. Nice to see you. Straight off the bat, we've got 4 viewers. Very nice to see you. Finding my place. So what's been happening? What has been happening in your life? How have you coped without a week's worth of Chaitanya Charitamrita? I dread to think. Just waiting for everybody to come in. You can make yourself a cup of tea or your favorite brew. Move it back in. So 2 weeks has gone by. I wonder if you could remember where we were and what we were doing. Thanks very much. Let's go to the top of the list now. Let's see who we've got. We've got 10 of you in. We've got Lila Manjari, Hare Krishna, Jeremy, Edward. Now a regular Edward. You're going to get a gold star very soon. Alex from Cornwall. Saw you on the weekend. Very nice to see you in person. Mary Smith, Mohini, Hare Krishna. Safely back home in Bonnie, Scotland. Judy. Could not make it to Vyaspuja. Yeah. It was a wee celebration, but it was very nice. And Owen. That chuckle, Owen, was not a chuckle of derision. It was a chuckle of affection. We got Mark. We got Katerina. And you're back in Switzerland already. Very nice. Very nice to see some of you over the weekend, actually. Anapani. Anapani had a good weekend. And Misha and Marianne's back home. Very good. Okay. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Let's try a bit of clapping. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. I'm fired up. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Okay. Lovely. Thank you for your enthusiastic participation. I can never see whether you are or not, but I think you must be, because you're very well trained. Thank you for coming in. Well, O Krishna, O flute player, the sweetness of your early age is wonderful within these 3 worlds. You know my unsteadiness, and I know yours. No one else knows about this. I want to see your beautiful, attractive face somewhere in a solitary place. But how can this be accomplished? Who is talking? These are various quotations from the scriptures showing the results, one of the results of devotion to Krishna. So I can only imagine one of the gopis must have said this. 32. Due to having great relish for the holy name, one is inclined to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra constantly. Yes. I wonder if you've ever had that experience, my dear friends. You've been in a kirtan and it's going well, and you are experiencing great joy in the kirtan and you don't want it to stop. I've had many of those. Do not think that this is something mundane, or that your attraction cannot be spiritual. It must be simply due to the drums and the cymbals and the excitement and the dancing. No. If you're inclined to relegate your spiritual experiences to being a mental experience, don't do that. If, on the other hand, you're having a material experience and you want to inflate it into the highest spiritual ecstasy, don't do that either. Be somewhere in between. Oh, Govinda, this youthful girl named Radhika is today constantly pouring forth tears like nectar, falling from flowers as she sings your holy names in a sweet voice. Yeah, these are two of the symptoms of love of God. When you're, love of anybody, but particularly love of God, someone who's in love with Krishna experiences these things, the anubhava, pouring forth tears and trembling, shaking. At this stage of bhava, a devotee has awakened the tendency to chant and describe the transcendental qualities of the Lord. He has attachment for this process. Yes. Attachment in this case means I don't want to give this up. I'm attached to it. It belongs to me. I own it. I like it. I want it in my life. This is the experience of a devotee who's been growing in maturity in their chanting of the holy name of Krishna. O my Lord, the transcendental body of Krishna is very sweet, and his face is even sweeter than his body. But his soft smile, which has the fragrance of honey, is sweeter still. These are all, when the young child, Dhruva, Prince Dhruva, was standing in front of the incarnation of the Lord, not an incarnation, but not an apparition, because Krishna doesn't appear as an apparition. Apparition often means that the, sort of the ghostly image is not actually there. But when Krishna appears, Krishna is fully there, even if only temporary. So this may be an apparition to our eyes, but when Krishna appears there, he's fully Krishna, and he's fully in charge. And so when Krishna appears as Dhruva, he experiences a change in his ability to compose prayers. He's only 7, 5 or 6, something like that. And he doesn't know how to compose prayers. But when the Lord appears in front of him, automatically he can compose most wonderful prayers. And they fall out of his mouth like a stream of poetry. These are the symptoms. No, yes. Yes. A devotee absorbed in ecstatic emotion for Krishna always resides in a place where Krishna's pastimes were performed. O Lord, Pundarikaksha. Pundarik, another name for lotus. Aksha, eyes. Pundarikaksha. There are many names for Krishna who has eyes like a lotus. And this is a poetic description because the lotus was the most beautiful thing in nature that people would commonly see, from where these descriptions come from. So Krishna is described to that most beautiful thing in nature, lotus petals, or his face is like a lotus flower, fully bloomed lotus flower. And Krishna's eyes are compared to those lotus petals, shape of them. So he's Padmalochana, Pundarikaksha, what else? Aravindalochana. They're all names of the lotus petal eyes of Krishna. These are the symptoms of a person who has developed attraction or bhava for Krishna. Now, let me describe the symptoms of a person who's actually elevated to love of Krishna. O Sanatana, please hear this from me. Even the most learned man cannot understand the words, activities, and symptoms of a person situated in love of Godhead. I read a description the other day that there is a tree of wisdom, a tree of realization of reality. And at the bottom of that tree is the roots, and at the top of the tree are the branches, smaller branches, flowers, and then the fruit, and then the fully ripened fruit. So the roots of the tree are fear of God. That's where it begins. We may say there are many religions where they don't fear God. Yes, that's true. But the path of spirituality begins with fear of addiction, for instance. Those on the 12-step process, they must find their higher power and admit that they're helpless to help themselves. So fear of continuing with my addictions, fear of hell, fear of being judged, guilt, shame, all of these. Those are the roots of the tree. But it's not that the roots of the tree nourish the rest of the tree, no, but that is contained within it. But the top of the tree, the very top of the tree, is the ripened fruit. The best fruit is always at the top of the tree, especially where mangoes are concerned. The sweetest mangoes are at the top. And the mango at the top of the tree is love of God, pure love of God. So the God tree and the God wisdom tree, fear and people being impelled to worship God due to negative emotions, although ostensibly they are also positive. Why are they positive? Because they take you in the direction upwards. The roots take things upwards. But the top of the tree, that is the fruit of everything that is being done before. So when you look at different religions, you should try to see, are they the roots? Are they the trunk? Are they the branches? Are they the smaller branches and twigs, the leaves, flowers, fruits, or the fully ripened fruit? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving us all an understanding of which phenomena will reveal to us the spiritual advancement of a person. And in that way we can see, I want to join this religion, I want to leave this religion. We shall see the different symptoms involved. Even a most learned scholar cannot understand the activities and symptoms of an exalted personality in whose heart love of Godhead has awakened. So a very learned scholar can't understand, because they're bewildering. Person who loves Krishna may appear like a ordinary person, may appear like a madman, may appear like someone who's lost their mind, like a person who is emotionally depressed or emotionally elated. Even a learned scholar, even a great doctor or psychiatrist, great therapist, cannot understand the hidden emotions which are like waves in an ocean in the heart of a devotee. When a person is actually advanced and takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord, who is very dear to him, he is agitated and loudly chants the holy name. He also laughs, cries, becomes agitated, and chants just like a madman, not caring for outsiders. Now, at different points in history, the Hare Krishna movement has had some mad people, mad men, mad women, who have gone out in public chanting the names of Krishna. They've appeared mad. And we're always counseling our devotees, don't just tame it a little bit. Be representative to the public. But sometimes they cannot control their enthusiasm. Love of Godhead increases and is manifested as affection, counter-love, love, attachment, sub-attachment, ecstasy, and sublime ecstasy. There you are, the different stages. This development is compared to. Now we're going to get a hierarchy of love of God. This hierarchy is in the upper stages of love of God, or I should say, versus the love of God, which presents itself more as attachment and enjoyment of the company of God and the name of God. Now we're seeing ecstatic love for God, of which there are 9. Let's see how many stages there are. But it's very clever, natural metaphors being used here. So here we are. Love of Godhead is affection, counter love, love, attachment, subattachment, ecstasy, and sublime ecstasy. Okay, that's 7. He's numbered it as 7. Now we're going to hear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 aspects of pure love of God with a natural example. This development is compared to sugarcane seeds, sugarcane plants, sugarcane juice, molasses, crude sugar, refined sugar, sugar candy, and rock candy. One should understand that just as the taste of sugar increases as it is gradually purified, so when love of Godhead increases from rati, which is compared to the beginning seed, its taste increases. Almost unbelievable, isn't it? If you love God, then you love God. We just use one word, don't we? Actually, we use the one word love for everything, don't we? I love my dog. I love my country. I love my wife. I love my mates. I love that music. I love my football team. I love my mum. I love my kids. We're not so good at expressing in English the different types of love. So from love of God to love of my dog, these are all different types of love. But a culture like the Vedic culture that's interested in love as being the highest expression of consciousness with relationship to God has different words for love, just like Eskimos have different words for snow. I think there's more than 20 different words for snow if you're an Eskimo. And a trawlerman on the sea has got different words for the weather. There's a squall, or it's a breeze, or a gale, or a storm, or we have different words like that. And they have their own words too. Or a farmer has different words for the weather or the condition of his crops. So anywhere there's a level of expertise in a subculture or the culture or the civilization itself, you'll find lots of words for something, provided there's interest. You see, provided there's interest. Where there's no interest in love of God, you get a culture which just uses the one word, love. But in a culture which is really interested in love of God as an aspect of developing consciousness from the bud to the seed, or from, in this case, from the sugarcane seed to the absolute pure sugar. And with apologies to those of you who are borderline diabetic, you may not like that natural example, but it's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. And on this channel, we deliver to you what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually said. So point here is that in a culture which is very interested in not only in the different stages of love of God, but how to reach those stages, how to practice yoga in such a way that you actually develop that within yourself, within your very lifetime, then you'll get lots of words and lots of descriptions. According to the candidate possessing these transcendental qualities, sneha, mana, and so on, there are 5 transcendental mellows: neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parental love, and conjugal love. I must explain this word mellows because sometimes devotees, or newcomers at least, they think the word mellow means a sort of, relaxing mood or peaceful inner ambience. Mellow has come to mean that, but the actual root of this word mellow, which was chosen by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to try to convey to the English reader what he was talking about, is, of course, a very old word. It's a word which has disappeared pretty much from our language now. We don't use the word mellow in that tense, in that sense. But mellow comes from an Anglo-Saxon word or an Old English word, I forget which meant miloa, which means a ripened fruit. It means when the fruit is just ready to eat. So it's the same sort of idea that the fruit which is completely ripe will have the most sugar. So when you talk about mellows of love of God, you're talking about a fruitful, sweet experience. And these fruitful, sweet experiences become, generally speaking, there's a spectrum, but it's generally divided into 5. And these are neutrality. Neutrality just means I see God, God sees me, but I don't act. The soul is not active. It's a sort of slightly impersonal relationship with God. I'm blinded by the light. I'm in awe of the majesty of God, but I don't offer any prayers, or I don't cry, or I don't shake. Or it's just I'm enjoying. So it's sort of a neutral servitorship. I enter into my relationship as a servant. And it means that I'm impelled to offer practical service. But it also means that neutrality, the ability to be stunned in the presence of God, is included within the friendship, within the servitorship. So servitorship means I am the servant and I am serving someone who is higher than me, greater than me, because that's my natural position. It's very common rasa, and many devotees are in that state. Friendship is where the majesty of God begins to disappear. One is conscious, not fully, of the majesty of God, the greatness of God, but where that begins to scale down to the level where the friendly relations with God, with Krishna, is more important. And I relate to God without the formality that comes with knowing that He is God. So a friend of God does not know that He's God. He's just this beautiful friend called Krishna. And I'm enjoying a picnic with him. But I don't. The fact that He is God, that may be interesting, but I'm not personally interested. I'm just interested because He's Krishna. And He's just given me a sweet ball. And I've given him a samosa from my lunch pack. That's my interest. Then, parental love. Now the idea of Krishna being a friend has disappeared and it's been replaced by a mood which is, I am older than Krishna and therefore he needs my protection. So imagine what sort of maya or mystical, magical energy you must be under to completely forget that God is God, to the point where you think that God needs you to look after him. And yet this mystical, magical, mayic energy does not come from the material world, it comes from Krishna himself personally. So in this way, the devotee feels that he must do something to serve Krishna, as all the other rasas, all the other mellows are about serving Krishna. But I must serve Krishna because Krishna needs me. He's unprotected. Look at him, he's just a small boy. And I'm like a father to him. I'm like a mother to him. And finally, conjugal love, which needs no explanation. That is a complete submission to the lover, in which there's no, in which all the other rasas are contained, but they find their expression in a way of serving Krishna. Now we go deep. When the permanent ecstasies are mixed with other ingredients, devotional service and love of Godhead is transformed and becomes composed of transcendental mellows. Yeah, need a purport for that one. Permanent ecstasy becomes a more and more relishable transcendental mellow through the mixture of special ecstasy, subordinate ecstasy, natural ecstasy, and transitory ecstasy. Yeah. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught this in brief to Rupa Goswami, and he asked him to expand on it. And the idea is that although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained it in a short way, Rupa Goswami explains it in a longer way. And some of Rupa Goswami's explanations have come back into Chaitanya Charitamrita as the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's one scholarly theory. We don't know. But here we have Rupa Goswami's using the scientific delineation of different emotions which had been existing in Indian culture for at least 1,000 years before he lived. And it was based on the writings of Bharata Muni, whose expertise was in theatre. So in the theatre, we want the audience to experience emotions. If you go to a play, if you go to a musical, if you watch a movie, you want to experience emotions. So there's a whole range of emotions. There's love, there's fear, there's sadness. And when the movie ends or when the play finishes, we say, oh, that was a good film. That was a great play. My heart was joyful, and I cried when the girl did this. I cried when the man died. And so any director of a play, let's say a theatrical drama, is very happy when the audience experiences different emotions, because the words and activities of the actors, who are not themselves really experiencing those same emotions, but they're portraying them for us in the audience. So Bharat Muni wrote about this, and he divides the emotional experience into different bhavas and rasas. So he writes about this, and Rupa Goswami was a member of the court. He could speak the Persian language, Sanskrit language, Urdu, Bengali, maybe not Urdu, Bengali, Hindi, and the different languages. He was very much experienced in the dramas which were portrayed at court and the music of the court of the 1500s. So the fact that he goes to an authorized book of teachings on emotional experience, then transfers that to a book which he wants to write, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told him to write it, about spiritual experience, spiritual emotion, or experience of spiritual emotion, is not an astounding thing. Because by doing that, he's speaking in a language that the intelligent people of the 1500s in India would have been able to understand. So his real task is to create a book which will explain what very few people can even imagine, the ecstasies of being a lover of Krishna. And he's doing it in a way in which the thoughtful, intelligent people of the day would be able to understand. So he's using the language of that we are the audience to a wonderful play which is taking place in the spiritual world, which is filled with people who are actually experiencing these emotions, and that we ourselves will be able to leave the seats, and instead of just watching, we'll be able to be on the stage ourselves in this transcendental drama, experiencing the very heightened emotions and therefore his book was a success, and we're still reading it today. Yogurt, okay, we go back to verse 49. Yogurt mixed with sugar candy, black pepper, and camphor is very palatable and tasty. So I've never tried that particular mixture, but I have tried. You take a little spot of camphor, not very much, a little spot of camphor, put it in yogurt, mixed with sugar candy and black pepper. I think I have tasted something like that. And the camphor acts as, it stimulates the taste buds and all the other flavors come together. When you mix them all together, then you create a new dish. Similarly, when permanent ecstasy mixes with other ecstatic symptoms, it becomes unprecedentedly tasty. Very nice. Are you ready for one more? As we go even more scientific. There are two kinds, then we'll stop, okay? There are two kinds of particular ecstasies known as vibhava. One is called the support, and the other is called the awakening. So the support for an emotion is something that obviously without that support, the emotion wouldn't be there. And then the awakening is what stimulates the emotion to take place. Okay, so here we go. The vibration of Krishna's flute is an example of the awakening. And Lord Krishna himself is an example of the support. So without Krishna, there's no flute player. And without the flute playing, there's no awakening emotion. So the awakening is based upon the foundational support, which is Krishna himself. The subordinate ecstasies are smiling, dancing, and singing, as well as different manifestations in the body. The natural ecstasies, such as being stunned, are considered among the subordinate ecstasies, anubhava. Yeah, anubhava's, anu means to follow, bhava means the love. Really, the anubhava is a love symptom that follows. These are subordinate ecstasies. In other words, it's not the principal emotion, but it's what happens when you're experiencing that emotion. So my principal emotion is sadness, for instance, or grief. And the subordinate ecstasies are tears and heaving shoulders, shaking. In other words, these are the symptoms of great distress. Okay, let's give that a break, because that's quite intense. You've done well. Okay, let's go. Let's go to Katerina. Ask the question. Prabhuji, I don't mean to pry, but I'd be curious to know which of the rasas do you consider yourself to be in. She puts a little. Of course, no need to answer this. This is way too private a question. This shouldn't even be asked publicly, in which case I greatly apologize for my offense. No offense intended, I know, but no revelation so far. If something has been revealed to me, yes, it is something which cannot be talked about. I'm waiting for more information from head office. Our relationship with Krishna, of course, is to be a servant of the servant of the servant of Srila Prabhupada, who is a fully fledged rasa with Krishna. And we are waiting for that time when Prabhupada himself invites us into our permanent serving position in the spiritual world. That is my answer. That's my final answer in public. We say hello to Linda. We say hello to Aaron. Say hello to Anna Camfield. Hare Krishna. Welcome back. We've missed you. You've been missed. Who else are we saying hello to tonight? Cindy Lunsford. Where are you, Cindy Lunsford? Sita Sundar, are you back in the land of the free? Jayananda says, this message means time for a new beginning in the interests of anti-nationalism, no more saltire, which for viewers from other countries, the saltire is the cross of St. Andrew, the white cross on a blue background. The cross is like that. In the interests of pacifism, no more bow and arrow. In the interests of peace, no more drum. Okay. Haribol, everybody. We know that you won't be voting for any nationalist party up there. Aditya, Hare Krishna, thank you so much for the weekend. Sam Jane Simpson, Hare Krishna. Ananta Vasudev. God bless you, Ananta Vasudev. Bonjour, bonjour. Very nice for you to come in. Ananta Vasudev, he won't mind me telling you that we have many different opportunities for Krishna consciousness in London, many in Cardiff and Swansea, and many in Scotland, but hardly any in the land of Cornwall. Land of Cornwall, as you may know if you look at the map and you're not Americans, is the county at the bottom of the country. It ends with a place called Land's End, and it begins, you could say, at a place called Lifton or Launceston, like that. That's the border. But it's very good. It's an average of, wherever you are in Cornwall, it's an average of 22 miles across, from beach to beach, from seaside to seaside. It's a land of granite and moors, fishermen, and the land of the chough, the blackbird with red legs. It's a land of saffron cake, ginger biscuits, clotted cream teas, and the land of my childhood. And I was always wondering, when will Krishna consciousness reach Cornwall? And of course, I suppose I should have heard the drum beat in my heart, which would have said, when you take it down there. So I went to Truro, we went to several places, and we distributed books, we held a couple of festivals. But I'm so pleased, Ananta Vasudev, that of all the places in England, you've gone to Plymouth, which of course is not Cornwall, it's Devon. But your friend Alex is over the border, and together with your friends, you've done a retreat in a place called Menheniot, which was very nice. And I do believe that it's the first Hare Krishna retreat ever in Cornwall, apart from some of our getaway weekends where we did kirtan. But very nice. Thank you very much, Ananta Vasudev, for your sterling work. Tonight we've got Mandy Pryor. Thank you, Mandy. She is a star. We've got Narayani. I guess, Narayani, you're back in Switzerland now. Thank you so much for your singing over the weekend. It's wonderful. Deepak Vora, thank you for the beautiful videos you've sent of your singing in the streets of London every Saturday night. We watch those avidly. Satyabhama sends a big heart and 2 hands. Very nice. And Amisha. Thanks for coming in, Amisha. I'm calling you Animisha. I shouldn't be calling you Misha. You're Misha. Animisha means she whose eyes do not blink. The goddess. It's the name of the goddess. Animisha. She whose eyes, because it said when the gods and goddesses come to earth, their eyes do not blink. You can look at them and you'll never see them blinking. Blinking is for humans, and non-blinking is for the gods. Now, curiously enough, Krishna himself is called Animisha, means that he doesn't blink. Lord Jagannath, if you look at Lord Jagannath, you will see that he doesn't blink. He's got big wide eyes. He's always looking for his devotees. You'll also see that in the case of the Lord of Tirupati, he's sometimes known as he who does not open his eyes because he doesn't see the faults in his devotees. Good. Well, we are all very content tonight. No one's very questioning. We've had a few. Yeah. Yeah. So here we are. Aaron says, I got home today. Good to see you got home safe. He says he got after over a week immersed in devotee association. I find the transition difficult and even fear-invoking. I'm trying to take shelter in chanting and increasing my frequency of association. I'm praying that I don't get swallowed by the tides of material nescience. Well, Aaron, you have a lot of friends on this session. And I think that if you want to, but only if you want to, all of us here present tonight can send you a message of giving you strength of purpose. Yes, stay in the association of devotees. Where can I find devotees where I live? There's no devotees where I live. I've been hearing that for 50 years. I think that I will re-quote something I said at the weekend to a gathering that came for my like a birthday party up in Stoke-on-Trent, and I said that in one commentary, Srila Prabhupada says that this movement of Krishna consciousness should be taken to every town and village, in keeping with the words of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he said, how is that done? He said, well, the future devotees of this Krishna consciousness movement are already living in every town and village in the world. And it is the duty of the present devotees, the current devotees, to simply go and find them. So wherever you are, all of you here tonight, there is another devotee in your town. You simply have to go and find them. Where will they be? And if there's 6 of you and you already have a group, don't stop. There's another 6 out there somewhere. I said this to one person and he said, well, how are we going to find them? I said, well, you can have a big celebration, a big festival. And he jumped from 15 people every week to 25 people every week. So, dear Aaron, I think if you wanted to share your email with these wonderful people that we have on tonight, then you would find that they will send you their blessings. Anna Camfield says, that is such a great meditation, isn't it? Misha says, please have some nice Diwali story to tell us. Yes, I do. Misha, Diwali is a wonderful festival. You can hear the fireworks going off even tonight, because today is the day of Diwali. And of course, it's the day for lighting lamps. Diwali is, you see, for many, many people, is the birth of Lakshmi. It's when Lakshmi rose out of the ocean of milk, when the ocean was being churned by the gods and the demons. I was once asked to give a talk on Diwali at the headquarters of a bank called not Gordon Sachs. What's it called? Something, not Gordon Sachs. Oh, I forget. Anyway, it was in Fleet Street. Fleet Street or the Strand, like that. And I gestured out the window and I said, ladies and gentlemen, the memorial to the Sir William Jones in the St. Paul's Cathedral, just over there, I said, is the marble carving of the churning of the ocean of milk, where Lakshmi herself rises from the ocean. Of course, Lakshmi, she's known as Anapayani. She's never separated from Vishnu, never separated from Narayan. How can they possibly be separated? How can the sunshine be separated from the sun? How can the fragrance of a flower be separated? Is it possible to grasp the fragrance? And yes, you can take the fragrance, but you have to crush the flower. So Lakshmi is always there with Narayan, but for this pastime, this Lila, she is reunited with him by rising from the ocean. Therefore, she is known as ocean-born Lakshmi. And on this occasion, she rises from the ocean and is reunited with the Lord. So the gods and the demons are churning the ocean. If you go to Bangkok airport, you will see this over 50 foot long, this statue of gods. And Lord Vishnu himself appears at this time as a turtle. He's under the water, and they're using a mountain. They're using Vasuki, the giant snake, to turn the mountain this way and that way, churning the ocean, and all these different things are coming. Poison is coming, which is drunk by Lord Shiva. And a couple of days ago, we celebrated Dhanteras. Dhanteras is the day when Dhanvantari, the giver of Ayurvedic medicine, he comes out of the ocean at that time. And so, of course, eventually the pot of nectar comes out. And a pot of nectar is what the demons and the gods have been waiting for. So the demons want it, but it's the nectar of immortality. So the gods do not want the demons to drink that nectar. What will they do? Oh, Lord Vishnu, help us. So Vishnu has already appeared. He's appeared as the turtle. He's appeared as Vishnu on top of the mountain that is being churned. He's being churned this way, that way, this way, that way. He appears in many different forms. He brings the mountain there on the back of Garuda. So in different ways he's appearing. And he appears one more time as Mohini Murti. Mohini means the all-attractive goddess. She's Lakshmi, but in this form she appears unbelievably attractive, and the demons become bewildered. And she says to the demons, I have the pot of nectar, and I will distribute the contents to you and the gods equally. And so she distributes first to the gods, and when it comes time for the demons, it's empty. So she cheats. It's Vishnu, the supreme male, appearing in the form. Sorry, it's not Lakshmi. It's Vishnu appearing in the form of a female. So just catch me. I'll make mistakes. You just have to pick me up. So then this festival is celebrated by everyone. I've celebrated Diwali in the House of Commons, the House of Lords. I've been to 10 Downing Street, the Foreign Commonwealth Office, different schools, colleges, universities, banks. I get called to celebrate even Lakshmi Puja. One English gentleman, he said, look, I'm the head of a bank. Can you please come and do Lakshmi Puja? I said, are you a Hindu? He said, no, but is it all right if I have a Lakshmi Puja? I said, why do you want a Lakshmi Puja? He said, because I heard that if you worship Lakshmi on the day of her appearance, then we get it even more rich. I said, all right. So I went and I did a Lakshmi Puja in his office. Now, Diwali is the end of one year and the beginning of a new year. It's one of the main ways of celebrating the new year in India, and also calculating the year. So it just so happens that Lord Ramachandra was reluctantly banished to the forest by his father as a result of a well-timed plea from not his mother, but Bharat's mother, Kaikeyi. And gosh, it was 14 years in the forest, while her son Bharat would become the king. So on the night of the coronation, can you imagine? Lord Ram had been chosen, and Dasarath turned to his wife and she said, "You remember those boons, those promises that you made to me when I saved you on a battlefield many years ago, and I never cashed them in. I never asked you to fulfill those promises that you made. Now I'm asking." I said, "Yes, of course, anything. I'm in a very good mood. Tomorrow, my Lord Ram, my son Ram will become king. I can retire and all will be well with the kingdom." So she said, "No, that's exactly what I want. I don't want Ram to be king. That's my first boon. And the other one that you owe me is that my son will be king." Kaushalya was the mother of Ram, and Kaikeyi was the mother of Bharat. So she wanted Bharat to be king, her son. Now you would not imagine, because the three queens were great friends. They were all queens of the king. In those days, kings could have more than one wife. So three queens, one king. And they'd had 4 children between them. Now she wanted her son to be the king. And the king was many things, but he was a man of honor. So it meant that he could not break his promise, even though it was such a painful thing for him to keep the promise. Because the king, above all, is a Kshatriya, pure warrior. And when a warrior has given his promise, he must keep it. Therefore, Dashrath said, through his tears, he said, "I agree." And the plan was changed. And on this day, Ram was banished to the forest for 14 years. And his new wife, Sita, and his other brother, Lakshman, came with him. Meanwhile, Bharat, he was unconscious of the machinations of his mother. He was in a foreign country. He came back home, and when he discovered what his mother had done, he disowned her. He said, "You're no longer my mother. I have no mother now. For doing this, I cannot relate to you as a mother. You're my enemy." And he went and he found Ram. He said, "My lord, please come back. I do not wish to be king in your absence." Lord Ram said, "No, let it be. Father has spoken. The dharma of a son is to be the best follower of his father's instructions. So let me be." And Bharat said, "Well, please then give me your sandals. Give me your sandals, and I will worship your sandals in your absence." And that's what Bharat did. He didn't even live in the city. He couldn't stand living in the city that he was supposed to be king of. He took those sandals and he constructed a small hut. And for 14 years, he let his hair grow, didn't cut his hair. And he ate simple barley that had been soaked in the urine of a cow. That was his entire nourishment. And on this day, Lord Ram returns. So while many Hindus and some Vaishnavas worship Lakshmi on this day, as we all should, but the general tendency is for a Vaishnava, we worship Lakshmi with Vishnu, never independently. So many people say, "Oh, the goddess, you must worship the goddess." That's true. But the goddess is related to God, and therefore she's always worshipped. They're always worshipped together. Otherwise, when Lakshmi is worshipped by herself, she's known as Chanchala, or flickering, like a candle flame that flickers. Sometimes you will have, even if you worship Lakshmi, sometimes you'll have wealth, and sometimes you'll have no wealth. She comes and she goes, Chanchala. But real wealth will come when you worship Lakshmi, Narayan, or Sita, Ram, or Radha, Krishna. Then real wealth comes. Anyway, we on this day, we worship Lord Ramachandra, Sitaram, Lakshman, and the monkey warrior Hanuman, known as Ram Darbar. In this way, Ram comes out of the forest and he's met by the great sages. And his hair has also grown very long, so he shaves his head and he mounts a celestial airplane, a flower airplane. And he comes back to the city. On the way, he meets Bharat. Bharat is, of course, overjoyed to be reunited with his Ram, with his brother. 14 years is a very long time. And so, in India, today they celebrate this meeting of Ram with Bharat. There's one village, 100,000 people come and watch this play. This play has no words, only two boys, one at one end of the village, dressed as Ram, and the other boy at the other end of the village, dressed as Lakshman. And as 100,000 people clap and cheer and wave their clothing and cry, Ram and Bharat walk towards each other in the middle of the village, or if it's a town, big town, they embrace, and that's it. It's been done. Ram has met with Bharat. Jubilation. When you love God, simple things are beautiful. And so we have a beautiful Diwali celebration. So we're celebrating Ram's return. And of course, on this night, the Sikh Guru returned and the city was lit up for him. He came back on Diwali. And then Buddhists also have a festival. And Diwali generally is, thank you, Misha, just for you. The Diwali generally is celebrated everywhere. A very special festival. So now Katrina says, I'd like to bake something for Govardhan Puja. Does Govardhan Hill have any favorite sweets that I could make for this special day? I really don't know. We do hear that Krishna loves burfi, laddu. Krishna loves makhan, anything made with butter. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, there's one song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur which he gives a list of suitable preparations, sweet and savory preparations, but the sweet preparations are surely the Thakurji, or Krishna's favorite sweets. So Govardhan Hill is Krishna. Krishna declared Govardhan Hill to be himself. And therefore, if you look at that list of sweets, it's called Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala. I'll write it down. Bhaja Bhakata Vatsala. But Judy helpfully says that if you make laddus out of besan flour or gram flour, chickpea flour, and you mix them with sugar and butter, you'll have very nice sweets. And they look just like rocks. And of course, this song begins. You can look this up. Bhaja, this is for you, Katrina. Bhakata. Bhaja Bhakata. Sorry, everyone. This is interesting for you also. You look up that song, Bhajabhakata Vatsala. And Aaron says, you mentioned in your talks the weekend, the 24 types of guru. It was good, wasn't it? It's pure Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Krishna's talks with Uddhava in the 11th canto. Let me just look for it for you. You can, 11th canto, I think 13th chapter. Let me just look. Okay. So it is Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 7th chapter, 33 to 35. Probably lost my entire audience now. Here we go. So Aaron, I've given you the quote here. You can have a look at that. Good. All right, everyone. Very, very nice to be with you tonight. Happy Diwali and happy Govardhan Puja. I will be going to America, not tomorrow, but the day after, and I'll be coming back on November the 11th, by God's grace. And I think that we will be able to carry on each Monday. For me, it will be 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but for you, it will be 7:30. Yes, Aaron, it's okay for you to read those, no problem at all. Edward, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Thanks for coming in tonight and making my Monday evenings much less lonely. Hare Krishna. God bless. Hare Krishna. Thanks, Jeremy. Thank you very much, Jeremy and Sam.